Morning, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of our strategic planning forum. And just to talk about a brief recap of yesterday, we certainly had the start of our session, hearing initial remarks from our council chair, Chair Jessica Mackey. We followed that up with a State of the County presentation where we discussed the strength that we find the county in terms of financial position, in terms of our position for making future decisions about how to better serve residents of Richland County. We had a fiscal update session where we looked at some specific finances associated with the county and our financial positioning. We followed that up with a capital improvement session where we looked at both opportunities that we have for our future projects that are coming online, and we reviewed projects that we currently have in progress, as well as those that are about to be completed here in the recent coming future. After that, we had a tour, and we talked about why we specifically chose Rock Hill, when our county council wanted to look at opportunities to bring new things to Richland County that could benefit both our residents from things that they could experience, as well as bringing in tourism from other areas of our state and across our nation to make Richland County a destination county. Then we ended the session with a update from our ombudsman's office looking at how we can continue to engage our citizens and get an opportunity to be more responsive, utilizing today's technology and utilizing the workforce that we already have present in Richland County. And as we turn the page to day 2, we're going to start our session this morning with a particular focus on strategic planning. That session will be led by our Director of Budget and Strategic Performance, Director Wilkerson. So we're going to allow her to come forward here in a moment and give that presentation. Following that, we will take a brief break. We will have a legislative update. And then we will have a working lunch, and that working lunch will include a debrief of today's session, as well as the session overall for yesterday and today. And then we will bid you a farewell and a safe journey back to Richland County. And so with that being said, Director Wilkerson, we're turning the podium over to you this morning.
Let's just have it. All right, great. Thank you so much, Mr. Brown. Can everybody hear me okay? A little louder? Oh. Yes, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody had fun last night. I am certainly proud of my teammates, so I decided to come up here with my medal on this morning. Thank you, Miss English, as well. Yes, so I wasn't able to get my medal officially last night, so this morning I am wearing it proudly. Great job, team, Miss Mackey. All right, so we're going to switch gears a little bit and really talk about our strategic plan. And I wanted to take a moment, especially for our new council members, to give y'all kind of a little bit of a history and a background of kind of how we got to where we are today. So in November of 21, County Council worked with a firm to really revitalize the existing strategic plan and kind of guide the county into a new, more actionable strategic plan. So in 2023, again, working with that firm, they adopted the official new strategic plan. And as part of that, in February of 24, they broke this into six overarching goals, which we'll go over today. And then each of those have objectives that are a little bit more descriptive of what those goals mean. And then even further, we have initiatives or really like task actionable items that impact the entire county. So those are broken up between all of many of our directors that are in the room right now, and then we update our progress quarterly, and that's what you actually will see on our website. And I'm going to show a few clips of our website as well. So if you're looking at our website, on the right-hand side of the website, there's a section that's titled Mapping the Future. And you can click, that's a hyperlink, you can click on that and it'll bring up our strategic planning dashboard. So this is in collaboration with Invisio, which is an awesome software, which really gives our citizens and community members a interactive dashboard where they can see our progress. We can provide real-time information. We can provide narrative information. We also have graphs. We have lots of charts, things like that. So it's really a visual report for our community members. So again, this is the first page. And if you look at it right now, this is exactly what it looks like. So we do our updates quarterly. The next one is due January 31st. So some of this information might be a little bit dated, but we do try to update it quarterly. So as of right now, we're about 49% through our entire strategic plan. Again, with the timing of that, County Council overall adopting the official plan, the plan wasn't really adopted until we were almost moving into year 3. So our strategic plan is a 3-year plan, but there are many items that really were not officially finalized, like I said, until that February of 24. So July 1 of 24, we moved into year 3. So technically our strategic plan right now ends in June of 25. So, in just a few months, but as of this moment, we're 49% through with progress. And you can see, I know it's small on the screen, but it is in your packet. You can also see the green, kind of this circle here. The green means that the item is on track. The yellow means that there's some disruption. So there may be something going on that, is causing it to be off track. And then the purple means that it is upcoming, or I'm sorry, the purple means that it's completed, and the other kind of gray is status pending. So I'm going to go through our 6 goals with you and just give a brief update. Again, I want to give you all the most time to certainly discuss any changes or updates to the strategic plan, so I'm going to do a brief kind of update here. So our first goal is to foster good governance. The biggest thing in the last fiscal year was certainly the launch of the strategic planning dashboard. So that actually happened on April 16th of 24. And then another thing I just wanted to highlight, because I think this has been a huge focus of administration and county council, that we have now had over 35 members complete the NACO's High Performance Leadership Academy since 2022. So I think that's awesome and certainly something to highlight. I know there's probably many in this room. If Mr. Brown doesn't mind, I kind of wanted to just see who all in this room has completed it. If you'll stand up if you've completed the NACO High Performance Leadership Academy. So I had the pleasure of doing it. I just finished in August, and it was definitely rigorous, but it was well worth it. Something that I would recommend to everybody. I know Mr. Brown has an initiative for certainly all directors, and then even some of our middle managers also, to be able to complete the program. So we're actively working through that right now. And then here's just kind of a snapshot of what you may see when you go to this page on our strategic planning dashboard. So we've got that progress report. It tells you, the percentage change from the previous quarter. And it also, again, gives you kind of that pie chart of what's on track, what's pending, what's completed, what may need a little bit closer look, instead of that some disruption category. And so that is all on that chart. So goal 2 is to invest in economic development. And it looks like it got cut off a little bit, but I think y'all definitely remember that the public-private partnership proposal for economic development was approved very recently. And then definitely want to highlight that, by July 1, there will be a full rollout of the public-private partnership. So I know that the administrative team and certainly county council has been working together closely to kind of see what that will look like. And we'll be bringing y'all back updates over the next several months. And again, just a few highlights of some of the graphs that you might see there. So the first one is talking about business license revenue. You can see through FY24, we have, steadily increased. You do notice that little bit of a dip in 21, but I think we all know that that was probably impact of COVID. And then looking at the second one is talking about total applications and number of firms for small local business enterprises. So certainly something to be proud of as we look at economic development. Goal 3 which is near and dear to my heart, is commit to fiscal responsibility. So on June 18th, 2024, the FY25 balanced budget and 5-year capital improvement plan was approved by County Council. This is something that is done every year, has to be approved each year by July 1. So just a quick little highlight there, and then of course a graph about our monthly hospitality tax revenue. And if you go to this tab, there's lots of other features and graphs that you can look at, but I just wanted to highlight one. So goal 4 is plan for growth. And again, I just took a highlight from the most recent update, and it is talking about the county facility master plan. It also talks about the public safety complex project is under construction and progressing smoothly. And then the family service center is expected to be, the construction documents are expected to be completed by December 24. So I know that Director Williams had an update for you guys yesterday on a lot of our capital projects. So I think we went into great detail there. But again, just a quick snapshot of what you may see when you go to our dashboard. So this is kind of our task update. It also gives you the progress percentage. So if you look at the first one, and again, I know it's very small there, but the first one says establish plans and success metrics that allow for smart growth. So as of right now, if I drill down into there, there would be really true task items under that, and we're about 27% of the way through that goal or that objective. Goal 5 is to achieve positive public engagement. Definitely want to highlight the Office of Communications for this goal because they have significantly increased the use of social and digital media platforms. Also, I think many of the council members have done the town hall meetings. It looks like we actually in the past fiscal year did them for all 11 districts. So you can see the LinkedIn followers, the public engagement, how that has increased over time. So certainly something to celebrate there as well. And our last goal is to establish operational excellence. With this one, it kind of looks at the county as a whole. One of the big overarching goals is about being competitive in the market and establishing a competitive wage. So in October of 2024, with council approval at budget time, we implemented the year 2 of the compensation plan. Many employees were eligible for a 2.5% increase based on their performance. And then additionally, HR has added to their kind of wheelhouse many supervisory and management trainings covering employee liability, ethics, conflict resolution, and of course, this is in partnership with risk management as well. So with that, I just wanted to give a brief update. I'll be happy to take any questions, but I also wanted to really give the time to County Council to really talk about what changes or what the strategic plan may look like going forward as we look into a new fiscal year.
Thank you, Director Rickleson. We appreciate that update. Colleagues, I know we have several new folks. We have 2 new people this year, but it's 2 years ago we had 2 new folks come in as well on council, and so not everyone on council participated in the initial development of our current strategic plan. And so I want to make sure that we are offering the ability to make sure that our plan continues to be dynamic and grows with us as the body and the council grows. And so this opportunity really is to look at what we have. If there's additional feedback that council members have of things that are not in the strategic plan that you would like to be considered, I think now is the time to bring that up as we move forward. We've made great progress in a short period of time, but we do still have many goals and objectives or initiatives in our current strategic plan that we have not been able to tackle, not because lack of desire, but lack of time. But it's there, and we want to continue to work on those, but want to open it up to the body to say, if there are things that you thought about, last year or recently that you really feel as if it's not represented in the strategic plan, I want to bring that to light. And then also talk about next steps and what does it look like for, next year or the year after, thinking about when our next iteration of the strategic plan will happen. So I will open the floor if there are any thoughts or comments? Councilman Weaver.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One thing I'd like to see, if we look at people that provide the money for government services, taxpayers, we can look at them like the shareholders of government. You know, they're providing the capital for us to do the work that we do. And I think it would be good for us to maybe have a section of the strategic plan that says, how have we saved taxpayers money in the last 3 years? For instance, when I first got elected, I was very impressed with when I met with Mr. Brown a few weeks after my election, and he was telling me about various ways under his department that they had saved money. A new health plan came in board, and that saved the taxpayers thousands of dollars. You know, he was going through these different things with me, and I think sometimes we fail to mention that to the public when we're out at these public halls and town meetings and what have you. I think it would be a great thing for us to have something to say, you know, yeah, I'm sorry your taxes went up $100 last year, but here's a list of all the things we saved on county government versus the last 2 or 3 years. And I don't think sometimes we give ourselves enough credit for that. And I think we should encourage departments to report when they have a savings. How did they save money? I mean, I never got so excited when I never got so excited about gravity sewer till he told me it was going to save $18,000. So I think that's something we need to incorporate into the plan.
Thank you, Councilman Weaver. I think that is a great idea and one that I've heard you consistently highlight across the years since you've been on council, and I agree with that. I do think, if possible, there's ways to weave that currently into our operational excellence, our fiscal responsibility, and engagement with the public. I think it can fit in all of those, and how we engage. We've done a great job of increasing our engagement and transparency with residents, and I think this financial piece is probably another prong that we can add to that engagement and transparency. So I think that's a great idea, and I think that's something easily that we can add. Councilwoman Terratio.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One thing in thinking about what new folks might not have heard yet, and maybe the public should be reminded of, is that probably falls under Goal 5, but we've been working towards a new website and for public engagement, and I just wonder if there was any update on that could be shared, or just a general statement about that effort.
So yes, so during this process, what we'll do is, based on some of the questions that we'll receive from council, we'll have members that may be present address that. If we have members that are not present, I'll do my best to cover that or follow up with you. But we do have our director of information technology here, and he and his team are leading that effort. It is a combined effort, but he is certainly leading that. You could provide us an update, Director Holtzclaw?
Thank you. Good morning. We've been working with Granicus, our vendor, on the website redevelopment project. Hopefully, with all the research they've put in behind it with the metrics and the data, they've gone through all of our historical data, and they're going to rearrange how the website's designed and to try and get citizens to where what they're trying to ultimately get to faster. And so we're hoping with the data that they've went through, we're working with individual departments and our strategic steering group to have a first draft of that website by, I believe, the middle of next month. Something like that. About the middle of next month, so we'll have a minimal rebranding with the different color palettes, different ways to get to the different places in the website, to where instead of going to trying to click and click and click, it's going to be more straightforward. I want to go to pay services. I want to get utilities. I want to do this and have a complete refresh of the website to make it new, modern, more efficient, and get citizens the service they're trying to get quicker.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did I see Councilwoman Newton?
Thank you. And while I have the mic, let me just thank the staff for all of the work that they've done on the website. It was a long process, but they also moved really quickly and efficiently to make the most of the dollars that we had available. And one of our strategic goals at the county has always been to better communicate with our constituents. And it's easy to say, oh, it's just a website. But in this day and age, this is really a way that a lot of people want to communicate with us. And it's not just going to be easier for our constituents to receive information, it'll be easier for our staff to share that information in a timely way. So thank you to you and your team. The comment that I wanted to make on the strategic plan is, from my perspective, the strategic goals that we set are still valid and we're making progress on those. And maybe this is the time to do it. But I think that one of the things that we would benefit from is really just kind of taking a deeper dive and exploration into what some of those things mean. Because by necessity, you can have many priorities, but depending on what's happening, you give some more love than others. And I think that there's some that we can just revisit and say, is this a higher priority now than it used to be? Are there practical, tactical things that we can do? And I'll just take one really simple example. One of our goals that we looked at was making sure that we're continuing to build and expand upon our relationship with other elected officials. And that's something that we've made progress on. And it's also something, just a really simple area where I think if we were to have another conversation about it now, we could look and say, are there some simple ways we want to give this some more love? And I think that there are a lot of priorities like that, where if we were to do a magic new strategic plan right now in the next 30 minutes, I don't know that it would look dramatically different from what we did before, but there are areas we can focus on. And I'll just take this opportunity to say that I'm a big supporter of, back in the old days, Richland County, one of the things that we did but suspended because of COVID was that legislative night that we hosted, where we brought in all of our elected official partners all across Richland County. And that's not a good angle for me. I'm just kidding. And I would love to see us, bring that back again, or things like that. So again, I'm going to keep talking until he's done, I guess. Great strategic plan that we have, but I would love to just explore a little more.
Thank you, Ms. Newton. I think that's a great suggestion. Administrator Brown, I know you said someone was taking notes. Can we make sure that is incorporated in the upcoming strategic planning ad hoc meetings? I think that's a great way for us to go into each goal, like you said, and dive a little bit deeper, and we can spend some time doing that first part of the year for each goal in the ad hoc committee, and maybe looking at how to reshift. And then the legislative night piece is an amazing idea as well, something I know many council members have talked about and support. We did host one in 2024, and so I don't know about what it used to be in the olden days, but I know we did one in 2024, and so happy to hear any suggestions about things from the olden days that we like, that maybe we want to do. And there is one plan for 2025, and we'll discuss that in the legislative briefing that's on our agenda later this morning. Was that it, Ms. Newton? Okay. Have Councilman English and then Livingston.
Good morning, and thank you, Madam Chair. And this may not be something for the county, but this is something that we can work on. When we first came here, the cohesiveness of this council was amazing. We came in, and one of the things that Barrett even said in her acceptance speech, we didn't know what we were doing, especially with zoning. And so we had to take a second look. And so when we came back, and we also did a strategic plan, as council members coming in, I feel like maybe there should be more training for us, so we can stay on the same forward momentum, this progress that says, hey, this is the direction the county is moving in. These are the goals. This is what we're working on. And so someone doesn't just come in and automatically want to just switch, because I love the attitude of the county, of the staff, of how things are moving forward, but to better prepare council members for the work that's being done. And maybe that's something that can be done. And I just want to say thank you to the staff for all that they do. And one of the things that I will note, that just in talking to the staff, they said this is one of the first times that they've been able to see a plan implemented from start to finish. And that speaks volumes to the staff and the cohesiveness between the council and the staff. So I would love to see that going, and if there's anything that we could put in place to kind of make that continue from here forward, whether we're here or not. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What I'd like to say is this: at least look at what we want to highlight as some priorities for the coming year. And I think based on where we are now, for example, affordable workforce housing ought to be a priority, workforce development, because of what's going on in the county now, I just would like to see at least those two things be considered high priorities for the coming year. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Livingston. I completely agree with affordable housing being a priority. We started the Affordable Housing Ad Hoc Committee last year, and definitely this year I think is a high priority to make sure that we get some policies done out of that committee. And then the workforce development piece I think is another one that we've continued to focus on, but agree making sure that still remains a high priority this year, especially with the launch and rollout of the P3. Councilwoman Barron?
Thank you and good morning.
Morning.
I just want to make sure that I'm clear on what was stated earlier, and that was that, and I might have misunderstood, that the goals that are presently before us are due to be accomplished by June of this year.
No, ma'am. She was saying the goals that are before us, technically, we were scheduled for this strategic plan to end of June of this year because it was a 3-year plan. But based on all the goals that we have, we are at 49% of completion of the entire document.
Correct. So with that, does that, we said that it was going to be a 3-year plan, and it's obviously stated that we are not going to accomplish the things in which we set out to do. So with that.
Well, Ms. Barron, can I stop you just 1 minute? So the plan is a document. The objectives in the plan, they had timelines that exceeded the document timeline. And so, and I'm saying that if we didn't meet the timeline of those objectives in 3 years, that doesn't mean that we didn't meet it. It just means the document itself was only shelved for 3 years. So
yeah.
They're still on track to meet the goals that they have.
Okay, so definitely not trying to put any negative spin on what I'm saying here. I completely understand that, but the point that I'm making, or the question that I have, is with strategic plans, traditionally there is it's set for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. So with that, this is a 3-year plan. Would this body need to, in June or prior to June, decide to extend, amend, or scrap and start all over again, whatever the body decides to do? And if that is the case, I just wanted to hear what our next steps were, because obviously 3 years is here, and so I just want to hear about the next steps. I'm fully aware that we can keep moving with what we have in place, but there was a deadline put in place. So with that, what do we need to do? Because we're making great strides and have great momentum, and I'd love to see us continue to do it. I also would like for us to revisit, maybe bringing in the consultant again and dig deeper to see what other things we can come up with if we accomplish some things. Take those off the plate and put some new things on.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So part of the strategic planning forum, as I talked about in my introduction, was to take a look at what we had previously done. And what you have previously done, as you all have illuminated here, is established a plan, you've worked on it, and now you come to a term. And so part of this strategic planning objective right now from staff to council is to actually have this discussion. And so as a part of that, yes, there would be a formal recognition that you would want to continue with this plan on some level, whether that's to adopt the 6 strategic goals that you have previously adopted, or amend the goals themselves or the objectives in some way. And so, yes, ma'am, your question is actually a planning question. And so we hear that now in the forum. And then ideally what would happen is the next step, you would have your strategic planning workshop through your strategic planning ad hoc committee, or a meeting. It doesn't have to be a workshop, a meeting. And at that meeting, there would be a motion that would say these things about the strategic plan and or the strategic planning process going into 2025. And so as we were, quote unquote, concluding the strategic planning term, this is a now what is next. And so your question just came in the timing wise, early on in the process, but as you had said all these things, I would get up. This is why I told Madison, I'll take that question, and then say to you, here's what staff will need as next steps to understand how we carry this forward. So that's a great question, and one that we wanted to have answered at this strategic planning forum. Thank you.
Any further comments or questions? Okay, I did want. Okay. Did want to talk a little bit about an item that is in our strategic plan that was part of yesterday afternoon. We went to take a look at the recreation spots, the BMX and the soccer fields, with the city of Rock Hill as one of our strategic plan goals as we continue to think about quality of life and recreational amenities within Richland County, and have a little bit more conversation about that as it relates to hospitality tax and just planning as a whole, and looking at capital projects that we have as well. We got an update on that and the need for that within our county. And so in your information that you received, there's a large 11 by 17 packet that has spreadsheets in it. If you look at ACA Thomas, she's holding it up. If you want to pull that out, I'd like to have ACA Thomas come up now and walk us through that document as well, and have a brief discussion around that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This document is a lot of information with quite a bit of it hidden. And what this document is a listing of all the properties that we've been able to identify that Richland County owns. From the best of our ability at present, and there may be other modifications as we work through these lists, by district, we have broken down each district's holdings that the county has. I've been able to identify in the green in each one of them items where we know there are county facilities. Some of them may be, but I did not identify things like easements. Some of the sewer utilities that may not be real buildings, but they may have something to do with the sewer there. So we'll be working through those to identify them a little more specifically. The yellow in each one of those, and some of you may not have any yellow, are Conservation Commission holdings. Some of these may be economic development, but they may have nothing on the parcel. But these are the parcels that the county owns by district. There is only one different color on it, and I know it's in Ms. Little's district. There's an orange one on yours. It's the O'Neill Court property, where we will have Department of Juvenile Justice moving out of that facility. And not to speak for the administrator, but the administrator had asked us to put this together as well as the chair, because we'd like to, it is his plan to speak with each of you individually about the property that is in your district and what your thoughts are on the disposition or the holding of those. Some of these properties we have, and we may have to find some unique ways to get to make use of them.
I'll speak specifically to Mr. Weaver's district. During the 2015 flood, there were lots of properties in his district that had to be purchased with disaster relief funds because they do flood. And those, of course, can't be sold for profit because we can't do that. So there will be some restrictions, and that's the reason that the administrator would like to have these conversations individually. Yes, sir.
I also have a different color too. Blue. There's a blue color on mine.
Sorry, that was our solid waste area. Sorry. I meant to change it to green. Sorry. But though, in many of your areas, a lot of them, there are quite a bit of the parcels that are already obligated and they're already in use. But there are quite a few properties as well that do have the opportunity for other use throughout the county. And with that, I can always also turn it over to the administrator to sort of speak through his process here.
So this is one of those areas in where I have heard county council through the number of years I've been here talk about desires to institute ways to better serve our community. And in those things, I've heard recreation, I've heard housing, housing as it specifically relates to workforce, housing as it relates to affordability, recreation as it relates to additional opportunities that may not exist through the Recreation Commission or other municipalities. And so as we look to expend funds in some shape, form, or fashion or invest dollars, what I'm looking for and what I need is, as you talked about, the priorities. So my thoughts in particular are to work with you to identify the properties, see what you believe as an individual council member in that district, take that information, then talk to council as a whole about these things, but with the mindset of how do we address recreation? How do we address housing affordability? How do we address infrastructure that we believe reflects what we want to look like in the future? So the individual look is respecting your unique perspectives on your districts. So then I can take a holistic look at what properties across the county may serve that purpose potentially better as we're talking about the holistic view. So as we think about all the things you're being asked about building infrastructure for county purposes, you're being asked about building infrastructure for other purposes. All of those things will really kind of go into what I want to ultimately present to you as I've heard all of you speak. We've looked at this individually. Here's what I see holistically. Now bringing it to the body, how do we then utilize these parcels? And that does not even include anything you may think of from an economic standpoint. Again, I want to share that with you because, from my perspective, and some of you may remember this, by education, undergrad, it's economics for me. So there's opportunity cost. It's not a straight line when you deal with dollars. And what that means is if we utilize this property for X, then we miss out on using that property for another thing. The opportunity cost is what you choose to do and what you forego doing. And those are some of the decisions that I will need you all to help make related to what priorities you set, how we use these properties, whether that's disposal, whether that's development, or whether that's acquiring more property. So, but that's why we wanted to provide this. This is something we hope to get through this fiscal year, me literally sitting down with each of you. In some respects, when I say sitting down, that means potentially traveling to the properties, getting an idea of what it looks like from a physical standpoint, as well as maybe some of our team members that may be a part of that, so that we can really get a handle on how we want to leverage these county resources. I think one of the things you heard yesterday with our Rock Hill visit is they talked about the unique ability that they had because they own the land, they control the land, and really all the other elements. And so before we dispose of some of these properties, just want to make sure that we've thought about what our future plans look like in those particular areas, and then make those decisions. So I appreciate your patience. I know it's a lot of information, but this is where we're turning the corner and really putting out a lot of detail to allow you to begin to make some very strategic decisions about what's going on with the county. So a lot of financial information, a lot of specific parcel information. That's because we want to equip you. We want you to feel like you have everything that you need to make the best decision you can for the residents and the citizens of Richland County that you have been elected to serve.
I'm noticing a lot of residential lots on these lists. Is it safe to assume that we're not getting any taxes on these lots now, that the county has acquired these for some reason in the past, either through tax sales or something? So no property taxes are being paid on these now?
Property taxes would not be paid on holdings that the county would have.
Okay, so if we can sell these residential lots, because I do recognize a lot of these streets, if we can sell those lots, obviously we would turn them into a tax-paying entity then for the county.
That's correct. If there are properties that we are able to sell, we can. There are certain properties that the county may own that it has to own, but it cannot sell. So we just need to be able to note those properties and be aware of that as well to see if there's something else that can be done with those. So just as a quick example, again, yesterday they talked about the wastewater plant that they turned into a recreation amenity. It's just an example, but to your point, yes, sir. If it's a property that's residential that we can potentially sell, then it could become a tax-producing property for the county.
Okay, thank you.
And can I have, ACA Thomas, did you want to add something? I was going to add something too, but go ahead. I was going to say, I'm not sure what sheet you were looking on. I know in my district, I have some that are on residential streets, but they cannot be sold. And so I'm happy to talk with you about that as to what is going on in some of the developments in District 9.
You know me, Madam Chair. I'm ready to put it for sale sign on it tomorrow.
I know you are, sir. I know you are. ACA Thomas.
I was going to say the very same thing. I think that the best thing, especially for many of those lots in your district, would be to speak with us a little bit further because there are quite a lot of them that cannot be sold.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. And again, colleagues, I think this is good information to have and to dive into. And so I encourage you in the first quarter of 2025 to make sure you are coordinated with Mr. Brown to go through this list and really look at what we have and be able to think about opportunities for Richland County and for your district. Any further conversation related to a strategic plan? Any questions at all or recap at all that folks have related to any items from yesterday that you needed to get a follow-up question on or any additional information or clarification from staff? You recognize Ms. Newton.
Actually, I'd like to go back to your first question.
Sure.
On comments on the strategic plan. You mentioned our tours yesterday looking at recreation, and Mr. Brown mentioned that that's why we're here. So many of you, we've already had conversations. That's a huge priority of mine for Richland County, looking at how we use our H-tax and how we create these types of amenities, especially when we have some communities that really they don't have access to that and having that dual purpose. And so I feel like what you were saying was that was something we should seriously consider for our strategic plan, but I certainly don't want to put words in your mouth. So let me say affirmatively that is an area that I would love to see us name specifically, uplift, and prioritize. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Newton. Yes, that is something that I was putting out here, and I'm glad to hear the affirmation that you are in support of having that conversation and it being a priority this year. And I think, there's recreation, but a huge piece of what we saw in Rock Hill is not just recreation, it is the tourism piece that I think is even more important for Richland County and for revenue and for economics. Is we want to be able to create attraction that can bring tourists to Richland County. And not in competition, as Mr. Brown stated, with the Recreation Commission or with any other municipality, but really finding a unique way to increase tourism in Richland County. So thank you. Yes, ma'am.
And we are in 100% agreement. Just want to uplift one of the things from our tours here in Rock Hill, which is that is absolutely a priority. That drives visitors, business, it drives revenue, and it lets us do things. And I think that we've seen a model of a way where those things can also coexist in a community for the benefit of all. And so, not that those communities wouldn't plainly just benefit from the dollars, I'm sure that they would appreciate it and the tag along effects, but that there also are those opportunities to make it a win-win. And so as we have those conversations further, that's one of the angles that I'll be looking at is absolutely tourism, economic development, and can we do it in a way where all of Richland County also feels, uplifted and benefiting in a more personal way as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. ACA Thomas, do we have, or you, anybody on your staff, does anybody have any updates related to hospitality tax fund balance? Did we go over that in one of our slides already? If not, it's okay. I don't want to create work. Okay, thank you. Let's make a note that we need to have that discussion when we get back so folks have a clear understanding of where we are as it relates to the hospitality tax. Thank you. All right, I'm seeing all clear minds and faces, and everyone feels good about strategic priorities for 2025. Administrator Brown, anything else from staff that you have related to the strategic plan?
Not the strategic plan, just what to do next between now and our next starting time.
Okay, I just want to have one more clarification. Does anyone have any questions related to items from yesterday or information that we received yesterday that you had needed clarifying information on or wanted to follow up with questions? And one item, do you have some, Miss English? Okay, I'm gonna let Miss English.
I just want to know if Mr. Eric understands that he's a loser for you.
Excuse me. So, my comment was related to. Now you sitting with me. I thought you was gonna have a real comment. My comment was related to a little bit of strategic plan and where we are with public engagement, but also a little bit from yesterday when we reviewed the Ombudsman's report and looking at the new tool that we have for the online feature and the reporting. I would like us to think about how can we get to an app. So whether it's an app for online reporting, we have a new website. Is there an app portion of the website where residents have the ability to report concerns, but also maybe there's other frequently asked questions and information that we can make available in an app to help with the call volume and what we're receiving at the Ombudsman's office, but also creates a loop where folks can see real time in their app where things are with county departments. And so I don't know, Mr. Brown, is that discussed as part of the website? Is that separate at all? Or if there's any information we have on that?
So the two pieces of information that I have related to that are that there are apps that deal specifically with the idea of having a reporting tool that anyone can put in information, that information they can be readily received, and they can look at some general updates. And I know that our team has also worked on some internal capabilities to do that. I think the idea is to determine what makes better sense and what investment that we want to make related to that. There is certainly a benefit in being able to customize your own thing. And there's also a benefit to, big box types of software applications that have large support. So I think what we're looking at is what makes better sense, what is something that we could own and maintain as a part of this process. So, but the goal is to allow citizens to connect quicker, faster, and be able to engage more than just necessarily having to go to our website or call the ombudsman and wait for or send through an email process where they're waiting for a response. So that is an active discussion, and it is being viewed and tested right now.
Councilman Branham, can you get your mic? You would like to take a break? I understand.
Yeah, I want to make sure the public hears. Are we taking a break at 9:45? And then what are we doing after that between up to
Okay,
11
Mr.
o'clock?
Branham, thank you. So it appears that my colleagues are done discussing the strategic plan, and we are ready to take a break. And so I apologize for going past the schedule, but I wanted to make sure that our time and efforts here were well spent while staff is in the room to get all of your questions answered. So it appears we have done that.
No.
And all, Ms. Barron, you have something?
Yes, I was interrupted by this impromptu break announcement.
Ms. Barron, please, I am more than happy to answer the questions, and so is staff. So anything you have right now, go right ahead.
Yeah, so it was, I wanted to just continue the discussion about the app and the ombudsman. I did speak to Director Carter, and I applaud her efforts in really putting something together that can centralize us capturing this information. But I do think when we look holistically as a county, there are departments with apps and departments that have things working. It would be great just to have a Richland County app. Like we have the Recycle app. Anytime I want to know when my trash is to be picked up, I can go get the Recycle app. There's somebody else in the agency or in the that have apps. So I think that, you know, one department having an app and another one having an online system really, to me, does not show, in the spirit of Ms. McBride, equity. So I would just like for us to really dig deeper, and this is a great time to do it as we launch to prepare for our budget cycle. If this is a priority, it's a part of our strategic plan, and we should, I think that I'm positioned to invest in something that makes sure that we have this one-stop shop. Because, you know, it's nothing worse than I got to go, if I want to pay my taxes, I got to go over here. But if, you know, I want to know when my trash is picked up, I go over there. You know, so I'm going around and around because I want to make sure that I think it's important. You know, the ombudsman office, they get thousands and thousands of calls. An app is the least we can give them. So, yeah, I want to see, I agree with the chair. An app, or, you know, get everybody in the same place. I think it's going to be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barron. Ms. Newton, do you have a comment about this?
I do.
Okay.
I guess what I would like to see, and it's not that I don't support an app, I really do. I guess, though, I want to make sure, I think we have better conversations when we start by talking about the goal and then we end by talking about the how. So having a conversation that's about an app just starts us going down one path. We close doors to other options and we say we're doing this, and that's, I think it's a great conversation to say, how can we look at the technology that we're using to communicate with our citizens, and what are the best ways to address the most common challenges that they have, to present a unified front, and whatever the other goals are. And I think that an app would naturally be part of that conversation. And again, personally, if I had to look at that online thing or an app for the ombudsman, I know I would prefer an app, but it's so important that I would love for us to ask that top line strategic goal question first before we delve into the how we're going to do it.
Thank you. And I think that's a good point. And another priority piece that we can look at is that how, when we look at communication with residents, how can we better utilize the technology and all that we have to achieve that across all departments. So thank you, Ms. Newton. All right. So we are a few minutes past our break time, but I appreciate everyone participating in the conversations this morning related to our strategic plan. Thank you to Administrator Brown and all the staff for your continued efforts last year and all the previous years with our strategic plan. This public dashboard that we have for the public to see on our website is an amazing, amazing tool. And so I thank you for your efforts in continuing to update it and move us along. We can really show year over year the improvement that this county continues to make. And so thank you for your efforts. Ms. Brown, I'll turn it over to you for remarks relating to this
break.
morning. Yes.
Yes. So, want to let you know during the next time period between now and 11 o'clock, if you please go ahead and check out if you have not done that, and then meet back in here for our next session. We will have a working lunch, and that will then lead us to our conclusion. But in this next time between now and 11, please make sure that you check out, and then we will see you back here at 11. Thank you.